Okay, so I'm going to ask you, I'm going to come up with a segment right now. It's called Big Important Fantasy Questions. Is Ashton Jeanty a round one pick?
Yes.
Yes. Especially in non-PPR.
He's my fourth running back.
Would you take I think Malik Neighbors is a little bit of a loser tonight. Would you take Jeanty or Neighbors in PPR?
Jeanty.
I currently have Neighbors.
Why do I think he's a loser? For those of you who are not asking, I'll tell you anyway. Because if they struggle, then it makes sense for them to go to Dart. And I don't want them to go to Dart. I want them to go to James.
Look what he did last year with the crappy quarterbacks.
Wasn't that good? It wasn't that good.
Oh, yeah, he was terrible.
No, he got off to a great start.
He was no Zach Ertz.
Huge week 18, but go ahead and look at he had a really long stretch with DeVito and Locke.
He was a rookie wide receiver and did that.
Hey, I'm just saying I would take him. I would take Jeanty ahead of him. I'm not saying I think he's garbage.
Oh, I agree. But I mean, you said he's a loser because of the quarterback.
I do think he's a little bit of a loser because they're going to struggle probably. And then I was hoping they go to Jameis. Jameis would be great for him. They struggle. They go to Dart now. So that's a downgrade, probably from Wilson.
They may not go to Dart.
Why wouldn't they? You got to coach. If they're
they should, but they're
struggling, Dable's getting fired.
If they don't think he's ready.
If they're struggling, they're going to Jackson Dart because Dable's going to get fired, right? So you might as well throw this guy out there, see if he can save your job. So I think you got to be thinking about this. You're thinking about Malik Neighbors versus Brian Thomas Jr. Is Thomas Jr.
Well, I mean, if you're going to make the case that Neighbors is a loser because of the quarterback situation, you have to make a case that Thomas lost because of the addition of Travis Hunter.
I think you could make that case. I would say, and I've gone through this, I have a whole list of what happens to veteran pass catchers when they add rookie wide receivers. The main takeaway is that it does not affect great receivers. It can really affect, the Christian Kirks of the world. But the Brian Thomases probably shouldn't be affected. Do you think he's a loser? And who would you take now?
No, I don't. But I'm just saying, if you're making the case that Malik Neighbors is a loser because of a first-round quarterback coming in who they may think is great. I mean, look, they traded back into the first round to get him, and they're not going to rush him to be the starter. I don't know. I don't think Malik Neighbors is a loser tonight.
A little bit.
No, dude, it was Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, and Tommy DeVito.
You're misinterpreting. You're misinterpreting. It's not compared to what he had last year. It's compared to the Jameis Winston effect.
So you're saying that had Winston been the guy to take over, he would have been a tremendous winner.
Exactly.
I got you.
That's what I'm saying.
But Adam, who drafts a wide receiver because who the backup quarterback is?
Well, in this particular situation, I think it's pretty realistic that you're going to see a backup quarterback at some point. But anyway, let's move on. Sorry. Next big important fantasy question. Where are you guys? Teteroa McMillan or Travis Hunter?
We should draft all the Falcons receivers because they've got Kirk Cousins there too, right? What is it?
Penix
I currently have, in just what I did tonight,
Cousins is the
Hunter like one or two spots ahead of McMillan. But this is going to be one that's kind of contingent on what happens in camp and where they're playing Hunter. So if he's going to spend too much time on defense, then I'll be McMillan. I just think that with Cohen and the new system in Jacksonville, if Trevor Lawrence can finally live up to his potential, this offense could be amazing.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yep. And
pretty close
those targets will get funneled to those two guys. So 7.5 targets per game is what you should shoot for. But I think McMillan can get that. And I don't think there's much of a touchdown issue in Carolina that could hurt McMillan compared to what's in Jacksonville between Thomas and Hunter.
I also think, to go back to the winners question, just while we're on Jacksonville, obviously Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby with the trade.
For now, yeah.
Okay, when are you drafting Omarion Hampton? That's my next big question.
5. And I would take him ahead of Najee Harris.
I'm taking him ahead of Najee too. Round 5 for me, 50th overall.
Oh, that really feels like the kind of pick that could win you your league. If you're
or lose it for you.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think of I want to say it was Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, right? We were is that the duo? We were waiting and waiting for Javonte to take over, and he never did except that one game against the Chiefs where he had his huge game. Am I remembering this correctly? And he never got the job that we thought he was going to eventually get. It happens sometimes. And but Hampton definitely has if you make the fantasy playoffs, he might be the guy who wins it for you if he just takes
I mean,
over.
look, you hope it's not Walker and Charbonnet, right?
Well, but people weren't drafting Charbonnet.
No, but still, coming off of his rookie season and they draft Charbonnet, it was like, what? Why?
Yeah, it was so strange. How much? Aaron is asking how much did Najee get paid? It's a 1 year, $5.3 million deal.
No, I think it was 9.5.
That's what I thought originally, but then I saw today 5.3. So I was looking into that because I wrote in my notes back in March 9.5. I think it's 5.3.
I'll look it up right now. As long as it's not crazy money, it's 5.25. There might be some incentives. 4 million in incentives available. So if he has a big year, it's 9.25 million. If he gets Hamptoned, it's 5.25 million, and he's on another team next year.
The thing that is scary about Najee, and it was kind of the problem for Jaylen Warren, he never gets hurt, and he doesn't fumble. He's got 3 fumbles in his career, and he's never missed a game. So, as long as he's doing the things that coaches like, he'll stay relevant, and maybe too relevant for what Hampton's upside is. But, I think just given the fact that this is the guy that they targeted, they had other needs. We know how deep this running back class is. They could have gotten somebody later in the draft. This guy's a potential superstar, So, yeah. And they used 2 backs last year, and I think people forget that because Dobbins was so good. They were using Gus Edwards too.
And they also threw to Dobbins, and that's one thing that Hampton should be able to do better than Najee is make plays in the passing game. Hampton had 38 catches in 12 games, but the scouting reports, everyone seems to agree this guy can be a factor in the passing game. Also, he did have fumble problems, Hampton, at one point in his career, but he only fumbled once in 2024. It was on a reception. So he did not have a single fumble on a carry last year, whereas Ashton Jeanty had 4 of those, by the way. Let me see if I can. I had a Twitter poll about this, by the way. Omarion Hampton, when are you drafting him? Rounds 1 through 3 got 14%. Rounds 4 through 6 got 46%. Rounds 7 through 9, 32%. Round 10 or later, 8%. And then, all right, here's one that I put on Twitter.
How about this fun fact? Hampton was offered by Michigan. One of his first offers was from Michigan.